Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Friday, November 11th, 2022. It is Veterans Day, and thank you to everyone who has served. All right, people, look, let's talk. It's starting to get almost to the point of ridiculousness. So this morning, I'm sitting here flipping through the financial channels, as I always do. I like to track what's coming out of the mouths of the puppets that they parade out here on the propaganda ministry. And it's all about these inflation numbers here. What it seems that they're hiding from the public is inflation continues to rise. I mean, that was the story yesterday with this fantastic news on inflation. It's still rising, but it missed forecasts. So, look, we expected this, you and I, the narrative change. What they do, the propaganda, is they twist the minds of men and women, and they try to get you to believe something that's just completely false. What we do know, what they are saying here, and they're trying to cover it up, is inflation is rising, but it missed forecasts. So the narrative is very simple. We've turned a corner. What were the headlines yesterday? We turned a corner. The Federal Reserve central banks are going to start easing back. This is an excuse for them, all right? You know and I know that not even since day one has this issue of inflation been actually addressed. And that bothers me to the core of my being. The lie that has been sold to the people of the world and continues to be sold, they're not stopping, is it's a rate problem, 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 it's a rate problem. I mean, they're bombarding us with this. It's just totally false. It's not a rate problem at all. You know that. We called it right here on this blog since day one. This is a currency issue. And central banks are doing nothing, zero, to address the root cause of the problem. And why? Because people, you know this better than anyone on this earth, central banks are going to continue to inflate. There is no way on this earth, off this earth, on any planet, star, moon, whatever, that it's going to stop. It can't stop. And they can't tell you that either. They can't tell you that the debt must be inflated upon in a greater and greater amount. And being that currencies in aggregate, all of them, are units of debt. It's all part of the same thing. But you'll never hear this on the mainstream channels. They just won't address this. And in my view, it's a crime that they continue to lie. And who gets held to account for this? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. I'll tell you, I am just waiting for the time that we're going to get just somebody with a big, tremendous platform that people trust and believe in to outline what's happening for them. Again, look, we're doing our part, you and I. We really are, with this blog, trying to expose what's happening, how central banks are the most poisonous, deceptive, destructive organizations on the planet, but no one's paying attention to it. Hardly anybody. Just those of us here who are awake and understand what's going on here, because most people haven't the slightest clue at all. I've told all of you since forever. People have been dumbed down to the point of they don't know who they are, what they're doing, or why they're doing it. They get up every morning and they just go through their routines. They get distracted by whatever the propaganda ministry wants them to focus on at the time. The news dictates what people think, how they dress, how they talk, their perception of the world, which is completely false. They tell them who to love, who to hate. Imagine a situation like that. Seems like science fiction, doesn't it? But it's really the truth. That's really where we are today. Anyway, so a couple of other things I want to cover before I touch on the markets. So we're hearing again about peak inflation. It's peaking. It's peaking. You know how you know? Do you know how you can be absolutely certain that inflation is peaking? Because they're telling you it is. Okay? Whenever they tell you something, realize it's completely false. Anyway, so recently we heard from Goldman Sachs on gold. They said gold is going to surge higher moving into next year, but we got a piece of information from Citigroup saying that silver right now is a screaming buy. Well, I would have to agree with that. And this is a piece of news that this is going to make you feel really good on this Veterans Day. Are you ready for it? Sit down, take a deep breath. So the U.S. Treasury says there is no sign of currency manipulation. Oh no, the whole world right now, the currencies that are being issued by central banks en masse like we've never seen in the history of the world, the fact that they're inflating the money supply on an unprecedented scale to keep inflating, there is no sign, zero, according to the U.S. Treasury, of any kind of currency manipulation going on. Now I know that you must feel really good about that because I feel really good about that too. Not. Unbelievable people. Anyway, so this morning, just looking over here at the market, an incredible rally yesterday. The 10-year yield dropping 36 basis points. The dollar, I mean, whoa, falling off of a cliff. Well, the dollar is still falling this morning, down over another 1%. 10-year yield hovering about where we ended yesterday, which is a profound drop. I really, look, I tried to find out if this was historic, if we've ever seen it before. I was unable to, but I cannot recall a time, and I've been doing this a while, where the 10-year yield has dropped nearly 40 basis points in one day. It's an incredible situation here, an unbelievable amount of debt buying. I wonder who's doing it. Who's buying it all? Oh, it ain't me. Is it you? No, I don't think it's you either. Duh, we know who it is. Can't make this stuff up. Gold is getting a bit higher. Silver is about flat this morning. Crude oil up over 3%. You got cryptocurrencies right now after, what a run up yesterday off the prior day's low. Under a little bit of pressure, nothing major here. I know how many of you despise cryptocurrencies, and I really don't understand why. I mean, the concept of it being these things being decentralized platforms, not controlled by a central bank. The concept of it all is pretty interesting. And if we could circumvent their system, well, we could win here. But there are so many of you that I guess like the U.S. dollar. You want to be stuck in a Federal Reserve note for which you don't even own. If you own a crypto, if you buy it, it's yours. It's not owned by anybody else. But I guess there are a lot of you that like to be in a central bank issued note, backed by nothing. It's an incredible situation. Okay, whatever. I guess it takes all kinds here. But me, I would rather be any day in a decentralized currency that I own, that I don't owe back to anyone, plus interest that's created out of thin air. But that's what central banks do, and they got a lot of people brainwashed into that. Would I like to see, would Greg Mannarino like to see a commodity-backed currency? Absolutely. It would be a wealth-based system, a complete 180 from the current debt-based system. But let me explain this to you for those of you that are holding out for that. It's never going to happen. Never. A central bank's power, any central bank's power, resides in its ability to issue debt. If we were to go back to a wealth-based system, if anybody would, make that happen, first of all, they'd end up with a bullet in their head, okay? We've seen this before. How many nations have tried to circumvent the debt-based system and their leaders just by some chance get assassinated? This phenomenon is not going to stop. If you don't believe at this point that central banks have the entire system locked up and they will do anything that you can dream about, think about, fantasize about, or anything else, things you can't even conceive, to keep their power. I mean, their power resides in one thing. You know that their ability to issue debt, their ability to create currency out of thin air. Their product is debt. And that's how they keep their stranglehold on the world. Central banks, none more so than the Federal Reserve, are the most powerful organizations on the planet. The Federal Reserve has the full backing of the U.S. Armed Forces, including its military arsenal. You see, you're not supposed to know that either, henceforth why the petrodollar exists. They got every base covered. They have everyone in their back pocket. They, again, dictate our lives. They control the economy. They control the financial system. And again, if you think for a nanosecond that's going to change, it would take an act of God to change that. All right? And I don't personally think God is going to intervene here. He's going to allow us to destroy ourselves, and maybe we'll learn something in the end. I don't know. I really hope so, people. Anyway, look. So that's the story. Let's just sum this up real quick. The narrative has changed dramatically, exactly how you and I expected it. We knew this was going to happen from weeks ago. Check the old videos. Our old videos. Again, this is not my thing. This is our thing. Check our old videos from weeks ago. We knew the narrative change was going to happen. Inflation's peaking. Oh, it's getting better. Even though it's not. And even though you're going to go to the store and your wallet's going to get cleaned out because of food inflation, energy inflation, and every other freaking thing you could think about here. Oh, it's getting better. It's getting better. That's what they always do, people. They try to, imagine this. They try to convince you that what you're seeing is not real. But that's the situation here. And the stock market is loving this. Now, let me put another perspective on this for you before I let you all go here. If, in fact, we see some stabilization here in the debt market after yesterday, I mean, that was incredible, seeing the 10-year yield drop like that. And we see the dollar weaken here. Stock market's going not just higher, but much higher. What is going on here is the market is, in my view, and we spoke about this before anybody else, you and me right here before anybody, how this was going to play out. 75 basis points rate hike we just got out of the Fed, ECB. Next month, we're going to get a 50 and then probably a pause. That's how it's following. So the market is pricing in right now a 50 basis point hike. So the Fed's still going to be hiking, inflation is still going to be rising, but they're going to try to twist your mind into something else. But see, you and I, we don't buy the bullshit, dog shit, cat shit, reptile shit, bug shit, every other kind of shit. We don't buy it because, look, we have our eyes open. We know what to look at. We know what to look for. And, I think you and I, we have a built-in bullshit meter. As soon as we hear it, bop, 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 it just goes off in our ear. Anyway, people, that's the story. One big piece of news here on this Veterans Day. As you all know, my best friend in the world passed away. Ed Hall, Pearl Harbor survivor, 99 years old, greatest man I have ever known. Well, his funeral is today. And I need to attend this quite obviously. I'm going to be speaking and it's early, so I will not be able to do a post-market wrap-up today. You got this anyway. I love being here. I love outlining all this stuff for you and with you. You have no idea how I don't consider this my thing. This is our thing. You have been with me for years, some of you, years. And we're making a difference. We're trying to make a difference, a positive difference in the world, just like Ed Hall. Ed left his mark on this world, and it was a positive one. And all he wanted to do was make people happy. He tried to save lives on that day. Makes him a hero in my book. Anyway, so we're going to say farewell to Edward Hall today, a national treasure. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold back the tears later. Probably not. I'm going to try. But I don't think that's a bad thing. Look, I'm a kind of a guy who wears his emotions out. You've all seen me cry before. I don't think that's a sign of weakness. I think that's a sign of strength in my view. From the get-go, men are told, oh, you can't cry. Oh, you can't show. I say nonsense here. It's a real person. It's a real man who isn't afraid to outwardly show what he really feels. And women, Women got us covered, guys. This women are they just got it down. They get the situation, and I don't know. Maybe we should learn something from them. All right, look, I'm out of here. Again, I will not see you later, but you will see me on Sunday for my markets. A look ahead. It's going to be lovely here, people. Keep Edward in your thoughts and prayers, please. I could use a little bit of that too today. It's going to be a little tough for me, honestly. But we'll get through this too. We'll get through this too, like everything else. All right. Love you a lot. Please comment. Please share the video. And as I said, I'll see all of you on Sunday.